Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, before we officially start our college assembly with our welcome as normal, a message just directly to Nudgy boys, either in the hall here or back in the classrooms. Nudgy men, you might have seen on the student notices today, although you may not because of the circumstances of this morning. Boys, the Mount Zion toilets now have a more restricted access. So you can use them just before school, at morning tea and at lunch, but they will be closed soon after school, about 15 minutes after school, the Mount Zion toilets. Gents, you might be able to draw some of your own conclusions about why that is the case. I'd also say to you that your teachers have been given pretty clear directive for boys not to be able to necessarily go to the bathroom during class time unless that is absolutely urgent or basically a medical reason for that. Boys, for a number of years now, but particularly in recent times, I'd imagine it's a very small amount of young men here, perhaps one, perhaps five, I don't know, very small amount out of 1,700, but those bathrooms are actually getting smashed up, not slightly damaged, smashed up every week. And that disappoints me to say that to you. I have been made aware that there is a bit of a social media trend at the moment for fellas to maybe Snapchat damage that they've done to school toilets specifically. I could speak for ages about that topic, but today's not the day for that. Gentlemen, we need to be better in that space. If you're seeing things going around that are pictures of what's been occurring there, they're not funny, guys. Mr. Fulliger and Mr. Johnson particularly over the last 5 years, boys, have worked so hard for us to have better bathroom facilities, better change room facilities. The Mount Zion toilets themselves have been an absolute godsend, but for whatever reason, a small amount of guys are damaging them very significantly, really regularly, and we need to do better. So, access restricted to those bathrooms except before school for a period of time, morning tea, lunch, and slightly after school. To teachers and boys, sadly, statistically, period 5 is a time that most damage is done. Isn't that interesting? Okay, let's park that topic and let's move on to much, much brighter things. On behalf of Mr. Fulliger, the college leadership team, I would like to welcome back to Nudgy today Olympic and Paralympic medalists Will Martin and Jack McLaughlin. Can we welcome Will and Jack? And we will hear from Will and Jack later today about their time at Nudgy and their time as elite swimmers. To Mr. Fulliger and the college leadership team, to college staff, significantly to parents who are here in the hall and watching from home today, and most importantly to Nudgy men, both here in this hall and back in the classrooms. Welcome to what is a pretty special and full assembly today. Gentlemen, we're going to be hearing a little bit about our Celtic cross, about being a sign of faith. Boys who have got Learning Habits Awards are going to be recognised this morning. Gentlemen, we are so proud of our young men, our seniors, who have received certificates or diplomas in business, and they're being recognised today, proudly wearing an academic gown, I'm sure for the first time for many. It's the Team Men Awards in our activities from Term 2. We're hearing from Jack and Will. We have rock bands and other items. This will be a very special assembly. And I believe to kick us off, as always, we begin with prayer, and let's hear from our Dean of Identity, Mr. Mara.
Good morning, everybody. You would have all noticed a new presence on our beautiful campus in the last few weeks. And at 5 metres high and weighing almost 5 tonnes, it's a little hard not to notice it. Nudgee has a great cross, and it forms part of our celebrations of our 130 years. We wanted to mark it in a number of ways, and there have been some wonderful celebrations, and in the coming weeks we'll actually launch a publication to mark it as well. But we also wanted something of significance that would last for years to come, that marks a point in time where we can look back and give thanks for all the wonderful blessings of the last 130 years, but also proclaims our identity and helps us focus on future, on our hope, and on our spirit moving forward. And in trying to find a symbol that summarised who we are, where we have come from, and where we are moving to, we thought that a Celtic cross perfectly suited that particular need. Now, there are many theories about what the symbolism of a Celtic cross means, with the circle encompassing the 4 branches of the cross. But essentially, it speaks of a unity of purpose and a unity of the Godhead, God being 3 people but one God. It also is intimately associated with Ireland and the Irish. And as many of you would know, most early Catholic settlement in Queensland was Irish, followed by a significant influx of German Catholics over time as well, and those 2 ethnic groups make up the origin of the Catholic Church in this state. As a Catholic school founded by the Christian Brothers, we have a close association with that Irish heritage. And the plaque on the bottom of the cross tries to express that thanks to all the generations that have gone before. We acknowledge all those who have built this community of faith and learning over 130 years. Members of the Congregation of Christian Brothers, the Catholic community of Queensland and Australia and beyond, families and friends of the college, members of the college staff, the young men of Nudgee. Common to many Celtic crosses, and particularly to the great crosses that are dotted around pilgrimage sites in Ireland, is that Irish knotwork, that pattern that you see on the face of our cross. The 3 knots that form each of the basis of the arms that come towards the college crest has a 3-pointed knot. And the 3-pointed knot obviously speaks of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But one of the most powerful symbols contained within that Irish knotwork is that they have no beginning and no end. They are unbreakable. They cannot be picked apart. They cannot be separated. And that, gentlemen, is something I want you to think about. Your connection to this place is unbreakable. Your connection to each other, your connection to the 10,000 is unbreakable. That brings us great joy. That brings us privilege. But never forget also that it brings with it a responsibility. We are each other's cross. We carry that cross, our responsibility to each other, and our responsibility to Nudgee is our burden and our joy, as the cross symbolises both the death and the life of Jesus Christ. We were very, very fortunate recently to invite members of the college community to join with the boarding house to see Father John bless the cross at the beginning of Boarders' Mass a few weeks ago. Hopefully you can see that photograph of the assembly there gathered around the cross. Being made of black granite, it is designed to last hundreds of years. So do not be afraid of it. Don't stand away from it. Walk up to it, acknowledge it, reverence it. And a very common form of reverencing a great cross like this is to just silently walk towards it and place your hand upon it. And you see images there of Mr. Fulliger, of Leo and Basil doing that of the Night of the Blessing. I would dearly love for that to be a common practice. That any one of you, when you walk past it, just to take a moment to walk towards it, briefly place your hand against it and walk away. You can't damage it. That's not to say that it's a plaything by any means, obviously. It's not to be crawled upon, but it is to be reverenced. It is to be taken and embraced and to form a daily part of our life, our prayer life, because it proclaims us signum fidei. Also on the plaque at the bottom is a quote from an Irish prayer called the Breastplate of St. Patrick, and that will form our prayer today. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I rise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I rise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look before me, God's eye to hear me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guard me, God's way to lie before me, God's shield to protect me, God's hosts to secure me. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ in height. Christ in the heart of every one who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of every one who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. Salvation is of the Lord. Salvation is of Christ. May your salvation, O Lord, be ever with us. Amen. Live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Fulliger. Good morning, teachers, learners. Hello, everyone online. I was just passing by in the rain. Can we talk? Thanks. I've been at Nudgee for 6 years, and I still haven't figured out what makes Nudgee so special. Hear me out. At Nudgee, you'll hear the same repeating phrase over and over. Make the most out of everything. Try new things. Get involved. Be a sign of faith, most importantly. And these things motivate us to put in the hard yards, to get the awards like these boys today, to be a good bloke like Toddy, to win track and field championships, to be like Jack and Will. But why? You know, how does being a sign of faith help us do all of that? Don't ask me. Oh, okay. I think we can figure it out together. Here, for me, being a sign of faith can be summed up into one phrase I learnt in grade 9. From Brother Vic Larkin, he left a legacy at the college, even though I'd never even met him. The one quote is, "Live your life in the service of others." Now, this sort of guides me, but I'm still left with questions. What's in it for me? Why should I be a good person? What some people try to say is this. They have a social experiment. Now, turn to your mate or your teacher, or if you're in your classroom, turn to your mate on their phone and just give them a nice little compliment. Just tell them, you know, you're a good bloke. How did that feel, to give a compliment? Good. You know, complimenting or even giving feels naturally good to us. Furthermore, for us who are privileged people at Nudgee College, we feel a responsibility to help people who are in need. Every single religion in the world tells us to act with kindness. Our leaders are expected to act like this. I guess it's why people on these social justice videos are always saying that they're giving back to the community, because there's a good reason to do so. But being a true sign of faith, we don't seek personal gratification. Come on, we're expected to do this and do good things when no one's watching. Even like street poets like Kendrick Lamar tell us to sit down and be humble. And we're expected to just serve selflessly without any benefit in mind. This is a speed run of his speech, and there's so much I could talk about, but we're all busy living our lives, and I hear you. You just want to hear the message. So here it is. Being a sign of faith means all of the good things above. But before I leave, I have a perfect quote to sum up what it can actually mean. This is Aziz Shafashian. Now, if you can't tell, he is a big bloke. He goes to the gym, right? You could fit like 2 of me in his bicep, right? And what he says, which is very relatable to being a sign of faith, is this one quote. I don't work out to build muscle. I work out to build character. Now, I think we can apply this to where we're going today. This building of character, a personal reason why we strive to be Signum Fidei, is not necessarily faith in things that we can't control, but faith in ourselves. By finding the reason why doing social justice is important to you, by finding the reason why studying all night trying to get this maths question out of the way is important to you. And we can relate this to the start. Hopefully, by finding your why, you can answer Mr. Fulliger's question at the start of the year to become an authentic sign of faith. And this is a transferable idea. Being a sign of faith and building your character can go through every activity you try, being a sports person or leading your school. So that's my 4 minutes of inspiration up. Stay safe, stay blessed, 130 long, 10,000 strong.
Thank you to Mr. Mara and to Chad for those words. Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, our special guests, to parents online and here in the hall, particularly to our award winners, which we'll see in a moment from a range of categories, and to boys here in the hall and boys and staff out there listening online. Today we're celebrating our Learning Habits Awards as we do each semester, and we're celebrating the achievements of boys who demonstrate being the best they can be. And we look at their outstanding achievement and their application and participation, their organisation, their behaviour and their study habits. These are closely linked to our habits of mind. And usually I'll probably spend a bit of time drawing a close connection. But today let's be a little bit more applied. We've only got about 6 weeks to go before the end of the year. And whilst we need to apply all of our habits of mind, perhaps one in particular might resonate with you at this time of year depending on what year group you are in. So reflect on them on the wall if you're there in PC group, or have a think about them. But I immediately look to years 5, 6 and 7 and I think about your application and participation in the classroom. Those 3 cohorts get to do more different subjects than anyone else. They try lots of different things. Are you remaining open to that learning opportunity? I challenge 5, 6 and 7 boys to do that. Year 8 and 9 boys, have a think about your organisation for class. Suddenly school's changed in those year groups. You need to start being an independent learner. You need to organise yourself. Have a think about that. Are you doing that? Boys in year 10, have a think about your classroom behaviour. You're now a young adult. Responsibilities have increased. Are you taking that opportunity? Are you respecting the learning of others? And finally, to our year 11 and 12 boys, obviously study habits and homework would be a learning habit category that I'd be thinking about really carefully. Year 12, you have qualifications to finish like these diploma boys today, and you have external exams coming up. Year 11, you've started your journey towards your subject scores for ATAR and QC certification. So somewhere in those study habits posters that you see stuck up around the school, there's something that should resonate with you, and I want you to think carefully about that over the next few weeks and let that guide you. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce our 2022 studies prefects. And in a moment, they'll be up presenting and you'll see them and hear from them as they read out the names of our award winners. But Harry Blackmore, Elliot Brown and Lachlan Barrett are three key people in the Learning and Teaching Office for next year. You'll see them presenting things like today, participating in learning and teaching activities over the next 12 months, but importantly, they'll be a bridge for you. They're your student voice. And those three boys are able to put forward your ideas about making learning and teaching better, about making your learning outcomes better, and making sure your aspirations are achieved. So I'd like to invite Mr. Fulliger to the stage, please, to receive our award winners. I would also like to invite Lachlan Barrett forward to read out the names of the Year 5 and 6 boys.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, special guests, parents, staff, and men of Nudgee. It is my privilege today to present the Learning Habits Awards to students in Years 5 and 6. Please hold your applause until the end. In Year 5, the award recipients are Joshua Andrews, Ethan Dahl, Jordan Irvine, Alexander Late, Duke Moore, Harry Orr, Rahul Padmanabhan, Jack Schultz, Oxton Seedy, and Patrick Story. Can we please congratulate our Year 5 award recipients? In Year 6, the award recipients are William Bayo, Gurman Buller, Harper Cameron, Daniel Carey, Samuel Chambers, Rocco Crocombe, Edward McDonnell, James Newbecker, and Harrison Serini. Can we please congratulate our Year 6 award recipients? I would now like to welcome my fellow studies prefect, Elliot Brown, to the stage to present the awards for Years 7, 8, and 9.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, special guests, parents, staff, and men of Nudgee. It is my privilege to present the Learning Habits Awards to students in Years 7, 8, and 9. Please hold your applause to the end of each group. In Year 7, the award recipients are Ethan Andrews, Jack Burton, Sam Duffy, Roman Jones, Mitchell Cooley, Tom Cooley, Max Lazzarini, Harrison McIver, Jai Mott, Elfie Piper, and Kai West. Can we please congratulate the Year 7 award recipients? In Year 8, the award recipients are Dermot Clancy, Hayden Hamilton, Matthew Heath, Oscar Irankiji, Andrew LaMonica, Charlie Lyons, Tanush Patel, Mitchell Vivers, and Micah Williams. Can we please congratulate the Year 8 award recipients? In Year 9, the award recipients are Patrick Picard, Samuel Cassie, Ned Curran, George Gillam, Hunter Island, Lachlan James, William Cooley, Dusty Piper, Oscar Rawati, and Tom Thornley. Can we please congratulate our Year 9 award recipients? I would now like to welcome my fellow Studies Prefect, Harry Blackmore, to the stage.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, special guests, parents, staff, and men of Nudgee. It is my privilege to present the Learning Habit Awards to students in Year 10, 11, and 12. Please hold your applause to the end of each group. In Year 10, the awards are John T. Booth, Xavier Corey, William Duffield, Jacob Gillen, Mackenzie Jones, absent, Oliver Keel, Patrick Kennedy, Michael LaMonica, William Mason, Anthony Montague, Can we please congratulate our Year 10 award recipients? In Year 11, the award recipients are Lockie Bancroft, Lockie Barrett, Thomas Malone, Caleb O'Mealy, absent, Harry Wawadi, Tom Robertson, Tom Sands, who's absent, Jaden Spiteri, William Stewart, and Archie Wallace. Can we please congratulate our Year 11 award recipients? In Year 12, the award recipients are Kane Day, Douglas Gamble, Matthew Johns, Atticus Johnson, Nikhil Lawini, Lockie McGarry, Ian Pataloni, Xavier Rawadi, Simon Vollett, Can we please congratulate our Year 12 award recipients and all the students who received a Learning Habit Award. Thank you.
Right, good morning, Mr. Fulliger, staff, students, parents, guests and other members of the Nudgee College community. Today the Year 12s who studied and completed their diploma in business will be presented with their qualification. For those who are unfamiliar, the diploma is an 18-month course. The students attend a 2-hour session after school once a week for the duration of the course. It's run by Barrington College and their trainers come on campus to deliver the course. With us today we do have the boys' trainers, Miss Julie Black and the program coordinator, Miss Tanya Eve. So we welcome you both, and if you can please come to the stage as well. So, come on through. Okay. So, like all of us, the Diploma boys experienced the challenges of powering on during the COVID lockdowns, particularly the extended one last year. The diploma does require a lot of self-motivation at the best of times, so full credit to the boys for keeping on top of it and being engaged, especially when we transferred to the online classes during this extended period. Many of the boys managed the high demands of this course very well. Some required a little extra motivation, but nonetheless, it's pleasing to see them achieve their goal and about to receive their well-earned qualification. Thank you to all the parents, Barrington staff, Mr. Aaron Knott, staff in learning and teaching, house deans, and many others who have helped the boys achieve their goal today. So before I call the boys to the stage, I'd just like to call Miss Tanya Eve from Barrington to say a few brief words.
Thank you, Mr. Goves. Good morning, all the Nudgee staff, students, parents, everybody that's online. Our trainer that's been here for the last 18 months, Julie Black, and our Year 12 diploma students. Congratulations. Year 12 students, they have had 18 months of lockdowns, online learning, face-to-face. They've had a lot of barriers to get to here, and it's just been really amazing that their commitment level has been this high for our cohort to complete. So thank you, boys. Thank you for all of your efforts. And Barrington College has really been lucky to be here for 5 years now with the Nudgee, in partnership with Nudgee College, and we look forward to more years to come with more cohorts coming through. Thank you, everyone.
All right, I'd now like to call the boys to the stage. Please hold your applause to the end. Hamish Ayembo. Gabriel Allen. Bill Banks. Oscar Boyd. Rowan Burton. Finton Byrne. Darcy Carmody. Alex Clark. Aidan Craig. Ethan Durkin. Daniel Fielding. Nick Glass. William Godson. Jackson Goggin. Jack Haynes. Jack Harkins. Joey Kingston. Zachary Manita. Kieran McCarthy. Harry McEwen. Lachlan Nolan. Cooper Percy. Joshua Reid. Harry Reid. Alex Roperlin. Edward Ryan. Voss Sandik. Quinn Sheen. And Joseph Williams. All right, can we give a round of applause, please, for these gentlemen? Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, parents, staff, and Nudgee men. I would like to start off by thanking the Nudgee basketball community for their commitment, patience, and support through these extraordinary times. Despite having a few games canceled due to the government-mandated restrictions, we are all very grateful for the GPS season. To be upfront honest, as a whole, Nudgee basketball did not achieve the standard level of success in regards to the win-loss column for the 2021 GPS season. Although our boys and coaches fought hard each week, we came up short more times than not. But I must acknowledge the season was full of successes. From a massive growth in our preseason blue and white squad numbers to our juniors winning the first annual Wizard School League competition. To all of the boys that may have felt defeated during the season, I challenge you to reflect. Reflect on the 6:30 a.m. trainings on the outdoor courts in the cooler winter months, training after struggling with daily academic responsibilities, or simply showing up to training each week despite not having won a game all season. Reflect on all the things that required resilience and toughness that assisted you to persevere. We can all champion our first 15. They did not allow for the lack of an opportunity to compete for a GPS premiership to disturb their drive and commitment to remain undefeated. In similar fashion, our Nudgee First Five finished 6th overall in the Opens division for the Queensland State Championships. Considering the boys had minimal success during the GPS season, they were forced to constantly seek ways to improve each week, ultimately experiencing a late breakthrough to eventually enjoy the fruits of their labor. Our First Five have afforded the Nudgee Blue and White to stand tall with the state's top teams and programs. This offseason, I ask our boys, how can you improve? How can you be better than your last play? Now for the Team Man Awards. But firstly, I would like to acknowledge our seniors, Jed Richardson, Josh Clark, Mitch Doyle, McKinley Baker, Rory Dunn, and Harrison Vandenberg for their hard work and exemplary display of Nudgee excellence. And a special thanks to college staff, Mick Scott, Anthony Cannellan, Deborah Daly, Lauren Burns, Sean O'Brien, Kevin Ayers, Andrew Hook, Jeremy Riley, Craig Brown, and Wayne O'Brien for coaching and assisting the boys in addition to their college duties. By definition, the team man is a player who at all times demonstrates outstanding Nudgee college spirit, is always present and punctual, always does his best for team, and demonstrates leadership and discipline on and off the court. These boys have exceeded expectations, and they should be extremely proud to be honored with such a prestigious class of men. Mr. Fulliger to the stage, and I'd like to invite our captain, Josh Clark, to announce the awards. Please hold your applause until each year level is announced.
For the 5As, we have Ashley Overs. For the 5Bs, we have Timothy Lowe. And I would like for you to hold your applause to the end of each group. For grade 6, for the 6As, we have Rocco Bolton, Dilshan Sidhu, and Tobias Grant. For grade 7, for the 7As, we have Vincent Meraveka, Grady Whisker, George Guppy, Jake Page, for grade 8s, for the 8As, we have Fergus Loynes, Lincoln Wright, Angus Durkin, Jaden Isware, and Gurdit Sinj. For the grade 9s, for the 9As, we have Tyson Warren, Ewan Bishop, Marcus Newman, Samuel Cass, Jack Walton, Patrick Ryan, and Robert Brandt. For grade 10, for the 10As, we have Matthew Marshall, Spencer Azelwood, Joe Wilson, Harrison Palethorpe, and Dean Defteros. For grade 11, for the 11As, we have Ewan Halliday, Jack Hallett, Oliver Evangelista, and Elliot Brown. And for grade 12, for the seconds, we have Mitchell Doyle, Vili Lewinolovo, and Danny Tang. Thank you. I would now like to invite the rugby director to announce the team man.
Mr. Fulligar, distinguished guests, parents, staff and Nudgy men. Last year when I delivered the speech at this assembly, I spoke about the need to be innovative, adaptive and resilient during last year's COVID-impacted season. 12 months on, after a relatively uninterrupted pre-season, I doubt anyone anticipated a season like we just experienced, with rounds 3 to 6 being cancelled and no official premiership awarded. Once again, however, we focused our energy on the controllables, remained positive and grateful for what we still had, tried a few new things, and we had an absolute ball along the way. Some season highlights include utilising the new flats facility, the season launch, high performance clinics and rugby camps, the under 11 and 12 gala day on the flats with 51 teams and the whole Red squad present, the Sunshine Coast, Gundy and Roma community rugby clinics, the level 1 course we ran for 42 local coaches, the at-home Olympic Games and Combine days we ran during the in-season break, the First 15 CAP project led by Mr. John Sayre, which acknowledges every student who has ever played for Nudgy's First 15. We're currently at CAP number 1727, which is Rory Beach, who made his debut in the last round. And a fun fact, Mr. Corey Braithwaite is CAP number 1527, and James O'Connor is 1515. Other highlights, the full grandstands and great atmosphere in the BBC, Churchie and Ipswich Grammar rounds. The captain's lunch with James O'Connor with all 40 rugby captains. Launching the new Rugby Nudgy Instagram page, which has reached over 100,000 accounts in just 9 months. An 89% winning rate across the program this season, and of course an undefeated season for the First 15, which included all the trial games, so they won 12 out of 12. First 15 captain Tony Fulmano and his fellow teammates represented the college admirably, both on and off the field this season, and were fine examples to our younger teams. The First 15 season will be remembered for the team's relentless defence in the BBC game on Ross and the complete performance they put on against TSS down at the Shark Tank. The individual awards for the first will be presented on speech night, but please join me now in congratulating and thanking our First 15 players and coaching staff on an incredible 2021 undefeated season. There are a number of people I'd like to thank. Firstly, our hard-working, passionate coaches, managers and age coordinators, the activities team, particularly Mr. Kennellan, Theo Betteridge, Mrs. Deb Daly, Miss Lauren Byrne and Mr. Harrison Westbrook for their tireless work behind the scenes, the CLT for their ongoing support of Nudgy Rugby, our social media guru, Miss Hannah Kilburn, our photographer, Mr. Brodie Grogan, our referees, home game doctors, Tim Cartwright and the Good Sports physio team, Christine Atchinson and her amazing sports aid team, Rael Carmody, Annette Cross, Dave Phillips and all the property and services and catering team, canteen helpers, the rugby support group, our sponsors, and all parents and supporters for getting their sons to training and games and being great supporters of their sons both on and off the field. Finally, thanks to every boy who represented Nudgy in the famous Butcher Stripe this season. It'll certainly be a season that we'll never forget. You've committed yourself to the program from start to end and have remained positive despite a number of challenges. Today, we recognise the Best Team Man Awards for each team in the program. And please hold your applause until the end of each age group. 11A, Joshua Andrews. 11B, Joseph Fenton. 11C, Flynn O'Toole. 11 Blue, Carter Pickering. 11 White, Jack Schultz. 11 Gold, Hamish Tucker. Right on under 11s. 12A, William Campbell. 12B, Ben Sands. 12C, Harley Boy. And 12D, Storm Goolagong. Right on 12s. 13A, James Hannon. 13B, Kai Goods. 13C, Hudson Brumby. 13D, Samuel Coleman. 13E, Angus Shippey. Mighty 13s. 14A, Carter Welfare. 14B, Craig Lightbody. 14C, Henry Dennis. 14D, Rio Lethbridge. 14E, Hugo Timms. Under 14s. 15A, Spencer Marnie. 15B, John Grenfell. 15C, Jack Dwayne. 15D Blue, Luke Cowley. 15D White, Alexander Hayward. But on 15s. 16A, Archie Condon. 16B, Dylan Searson. 16C, Reinhard Wenzel. And 16D, Tarkin Clark. And the 16s. For our opens, second 15, Liam O'Hara. Third 15, Ethan Schneider-Luce. Fourth 15, Jesse Dando. Fifth 15, Sean Power. Sixth 15, Harry Shaw. The seventh 15, Joshua Ferns. And the eighth 15, Archie Wallace. Congratulations.
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, colleagues, parents and carers, and especially gentlemen of Nudgee College. Unfortunately, our chess directors could not be here today, so it's my pleasure to present the following boys. 2021 saw tremendous growth for our chess programming, mirroring worldwide renewed interest in the game that has been called the Queen's Gambit effect after the popular Netflix series. Nudgee Chess has a record number of students despite having no Year 11s or 12s playing at the GPS level this year. So this growing team bodes very well for the future. In chess, every player in Queensland earns points towards a ranking based on match play and experience, so they are not bound by age, only by ability. The higher the number, the stronger the player, theoretically. So, almost all wins, and there were many this year, were upsets against older and higher-ranked players. Highlights included Eric Yang's convincing win against Ipswich Grammar and Patrick Kennedy's draw against a BBC player ranked 1,410. Outside of GPS, Nudgee is a strong contender in the Brisbane area, and the coaching staff are very excited about the future. I'd like to thank our coaches Murray Campbell, Tyson Walker, James Hong, Kiernan Harmon, Tom Kennedy, Henry Kennedy, Josh Taylor for their work this year. Also, a big thank you to Mrs. Deb Daly in the Activities Office for all the work she has helped in coordinating. And of course, our chess co-directors, Martin Harmon and Matt Gilbin. I'd like to now present the Chess Team Man Awards for 2021. Please hold your applause till I present the entire group. For primary most improved, Ethan Johannes. For primary best performer, Nile Shiroka. For junior most improved, and also receiving a badge as a member of the first four because his ranking improved over the course of the season, and that earned him a spot on the top board, Tanush Patel. Our junior best performer, Jake Page. our senior most improved, Genjiro Sato, and our senior best performer, Eric Yang. Can we please congratulate these boys?
Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, special guests, parents, staff and gents. Both our junior and senior track and field teams had outstanding meets on Tuesday and left the venue crowned as 2021 GPS track and field champions. Our junior team scored a massive 654 points, 105 clear of Churchy in second place. Our senior event, or the senior event, was much closer, with Nudgee on first on 453.5 points, 19 points in front of Ipswich Grammar School in second place. Our win places us third in the GPS standings. Ipswich Grammar School sit on top with 22 titles, Churchy in second place on 21, and Nudgee now in third with 17 titles. A great effort from our team. Across both championships, we had many individual and relay winners. Too many to mention all today, so stand by for some newsletter and team app announcements on those. Other highlights included Ethan Grimshaw, our top point scorer, with an outstanding 56 points. Our senior sprinters scored 227 points across 10 events, 54 points clear of the next best school. And we have two new GPS record holders. Our under-16 4x100 team in a time of 42.56 seconds. Members were Lachlan Cox, James Swayo, Owen Rowbotham and Jaira Taylor. And also the race straight after, the open 4x100 team in a time slightly better, 41.89, and the team were Lachlan Hoban, Ashley Wong, Alex Romano and Ethan Petkos. As I mentioned to the team on Tuesday night, the most impressive highlight for me was the depth and commitment of our team. Every single member had a role to play and executed it perfectly on the day. Congratulations to all members of our track and field team. Results like this don't happen by chance. Our congratulations go to Mr. Darms. His meticulous organisation, planning, team building and strategy were evident throughout the season. Of course, he was well supported by head coach Mr. Kropp and the coaches and support team, in particular teachers Mr. Tui, Mr. Williams, Miss Winter, Mr. Steele, Mr. Brown, Mrs. Daunt and Mr. McEwen. Congratulations to all and thanks to the dedication to all boys involved in our program. The final congratulations goes to our captains, Roman Jones and Reece Griffiths of our junior team and Ethan Petkos and Malachi Tuck of our senior team. And I'd now ask them to come to the stage to present the Sir Goodwin Cup for the Senior Track and Field Champions of 2021 and the Junior Track and Field Championship Shield to Mr. Fulliger. Now Ethan and Malachi. Now gives me great pleasure to welcome Jack McLaughlin, Nudgee College Old Boy 2012, an Australian Olympic Dolphin number 767, and William Martin, Nudgee College Old Boy 2017, an Australian Dolphin number P307 to the stage. Jack and Will, welcome back to the college. I'm sure I speak on behalf of the entire college community when saying it's an absolute honour to have you attend our college assembly this morning. We're extremely grateful to both of you for sharing your time with us. I want to begin with your time at Nudgee. And Jack, we might start with you. Did you enjoy school? And would you mind sharing one or two highlights as a student?
Yeah, I love school, and it's hard coming back here because it just reminisces about Nudgee. I said to my girlfriend actually the other day, I was just like, because her family is a 4th generation grammar family, and I'm a 4th generation Nudgee, and I said to her that there's no other school that I'll be sending my boys to than Nudgee. So yeah, it's one of those places that the boys sitting next to you, your friends to your left and right of you will be your best friends for the rest of your life, I guarantee it. My dad went to Nudgee, he's later, and he still has best mates from Nudgee. They're his best mates. So, I absolutely love Nudgee, and I guarantee you'll be best friends with all these guys for the rest of your life. So I challenge you to cherish these moments because it'll be one of the highlights of your life.
Now, your academic record's extremely impressive. An OP3, if I remember rightly, and for those in ATAR world, that would translate to approximately a 95, I've been told. Did schoolwork come easy? And were there any habits that you sort of developed, I suppose, between your year 8 and year 12s that the boys here might benefit from?
I wouldn't say it came easy. It was a bit of mismatch. I loved math and physics and chemistry. I loved those subjects. I was pretty good at them, and they kind of carried my grades. I was terrible at English and SOR. So those ones I didn't really like, but the math and physics I absolutely loved. So I actually brought those subjects through with me into my sporting career. I am now an undergrad civil engineer working for BMD, but I actually really fascinated about the numbers and stuff with swimming. When you're in Olympic level, you have a whole team behind you from the QAS, AIS, Australian Sport, and their role is literally just to analyse numbers. And I was fanatic about it. I would tell them, no, I'm doing this myself, so they actually hated me because I did their job for them. But I researched every single person in the top 15, top 16 in the world. I knew exactly how they swam their times. I could tell you each 50 of their splits. I just love numbers. And so having that knowledge back from math in school, engineering at university, it really helped me be able to study the numbers well. And that's what I absolutely loved. And if you talk to anyone who knows me really well in the swimming world, they would tell you that, yeah, Jack just knows everything about the 400 metres freestyle. One of my good mates, Mac Horton, who's 2016 gold medalist, he and I talk a lot, and he always laughs because I can tell him every one of his splits and PBs he's ever done, and he has no idea what he does himself. So,
I think you'd get on well with David Proud as well then.
Yeah, very much so.
A favourite teacher?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah, it was great coming back just this morning and seeing a lot of teachers that I knew because I've been out for a while now. But I think for me, I don't want to piss anyone off or anything, but Michelle Canane, who was my house dean, was probably my favourite. She just always really, really encouraged me straight from grade 8 when I first arrived to Nudgee, and I still keep in contact with her. She still sends congratulations and whatnot. So yeah, she had a really big impact on my life.
I'm glad you mentioned Michelle. So Jack was the McKenna House prefect in his final year. And I wonder if he might share a funny or maybe best story of McKenna for the McKenna boys.
There's so many. I just loved my time in McKenna. I was fortunate with Mrs. Canane. Because I finished training so early, I would always be able to go into her office early. She'd give me the key and I'd be able to open it and have my breakfast in her office. And I remember some house deans absolutely hated that because they would come in for meetings and I'd just be there just chilling. And they weren't too fond of it, but Yeah, I can't really tell you of a funny one of McKenna, but yeah, I just had a great ball. House choir every year was a highlight for me with the McKenna group. We always did pretty well, and it was always fun just to joke around and have a bit of a laugh at yourself.
Yeah, great. I mean, you talked very encouragingly about the mateship and encouraging our boys here to make the most of their moments. Was there a special relationship that you remember the most, and someone that you're probably still really close to?
Yeah, there's so many boys that it's funny. You go out and you go clubbing or out to a night bar or something like that, and you'll run into someone that I hadn't seen since school, and you'll instantly just connect. You'll instantly just be like, oh, I remember this time at Nudgy, and I think there's so many boys out there that I haven't seen since school, but as soon as you run into them, you just know that you have an instant connection and just talk about life in general. And when you get to my age and you've been out of school for 9 years now, probably you boys know everyone in your grade probably has a nickname. There's so many of our boys in my grade who have nicknames, and I have no idea what their names are anymore. I've totally forgotten. But I know them right off their nickname. And there's some just classic ones of just one of our mates is called Fiji because he was from Fiji. And I couldn't tell you his actual name. But I go out and I'll see him out. I'm like, Fiji, hey, how you going? And then my girlfriend's like, who is he and why is he called Fiji? And I was like, I don't know. That's Fiji.
Comes from Fiji.
Yeah, and then my best mate, Daniel Masfiani, he's studying medicine now, and he and I always keep up. Even though he lives in Sydney, I'm up in here, and we live completely different lives. We always still catch up when he's up or I'm down, and yeah, we still bond. And I'm on his groom's party for his wedding next year. So yeah, like I said, the relationships you make are there for life.
Yeah, great. Will, you also began in Year 8. How did you find Nudgy, and what was a fond memory that you could share with us?
Yeah, right. So I wasn't really like Jack in the academic world. I wasn't a big fan of going to school, but one thing that I loved a lot was coming to Nudgy. You'd come into school every day, you'd have all your mates there playing handball at lunch, or just sitting at a table, and you'd have a chat and you'd just talk as much stupid crap as you wanted to, and it just made Nudgy a place where you wanted to be. There were even days where I'd be real sick and I'd just say, "No, Mum, I'm going to school. I want to go to school and see all the boys and hang out with everyone." My best memory was probably in 2016. I swam at the GPS Championships in the 100-metre butterfly. I won't tell you where I came, but I know that I beat the terrorist bloke. So I was pretty happy with that when I saw that result on the board.
Now, I think Will's selling himself a little bit short on the academic front. He's a good Maths B student and also did physics in his senior, so there's a little bit there. Will, do you think there's any correlation between sports participation and academic performance? For me, things like routine, discipline with your time, structure, etc., come to mind. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so with swimming, you've got to be real organised. You're up at 4:30 in the morning training till 7:30, and then you're back again in the afternoon from 3 till sometimes 7 o'clock at night. So you've got to be real organised when it comes to when your assignments are due, what time you're going to be doing your study from. So there might be a brief period between the end of school and training. You'd have to go up to the library, do a little bit of study, get the ball rolling, and then get into training, go home, have dinner, and get back onto your study. And you just had to make sure that you'd stay on top of it, or else you'd fall behind and it would make everything really difficult. You would have to start missing training sessions because you're having late nights doing assignments, and yeah, you just want to make sure that you're on top of everything especially when you're doing sports like swimming and any of the other high intensity sports.
Favourite teacher for you?
Oh, that's a pretty tricky one. I'd probably have to say Miss Nardi, Louise Nardi. don't know, is she still teaching here?
Yes, yeah, Miss Nutty be up with the teeny boys in PC now, yes.
Still here, yeah, right.
How many cakes did she make you?
Oh, we had cakes nearly every day for all the birthdays, but my favourite part about her was just she was so selfless in everything she did. There was a math club on Tuesday afternoons. Miss Nardi would give up her Tuesday arv to come and help the boys out with their math study. Most of it turned into a big conversation with only finishing 3 questions, but it was just a really good afternoon with a few of the boys that were struggling, and just so grateful for having Miss Nardi there to do that with us.
Now, as a proud Duggan boy, we better give a shout out to the junior boys back in Duggan 8. What drove you in your senior year to be so involved in leadership, and in particular as a junior school big brother?
Yeah, so I went for prefect in grade 11 and didn't get it, and I took up the role as a junior school big brother, and I enjoyed it so much. I loved going to PC every morning and seeing all the boys. All the boys were full of energy, always wanting to talk about a first 15 match on the weekend, first 11, what they got up to on the weekend, what they're doing at school that day, and it just brightened up your day. If you were having a bad day, had a bad sleep the night before from doing too much study, you'd come to school and you'd have the boys there just to hang out with, and yeah, it was a great time.
All right, well, we might move to the pool now. I've heard both Jack and Will talk vividly about their time in GPS swimming. Jen should be proud to hear that after winning the 2021 championships, we've moved to the top of the standings with 22 titles over Churchie in second with 21 and Brisbane Grammar in 19. Jack, you were part of an extraordinary period of about 4 years between 2009 and 2012 with 4 championship wins. Was there a standout moment for you in that time?
Yeah, I absolutely love GPS, and for me, I think my standout was in my senior year. We kind of went in, we were on a 3-win streak after losing 1 year in 2008, and everyone was kind of saying that that year, in our senior year, was going to be bad, that we were going to lose and everything, so everyone was really worried and thought it was going to be a disaster. But we ended up winning by 50 points or something, and we all swam so well, and I think that was a highlight of just like a big shut up everyone, like we got this kind of thing. And yeah, that year was just a really fun year of being a senior, getting to enjoy being the top of the swimming team and stuff, and it was just a really fun time. And GPS again was just an unreal experience, something that you'll never ever forget. And I think it actually was very similar to this year's Olympics, if I make a comparison, because when everyone asks me how was the Olympics, what was the atmosphere like with COVID and everything, I always say like the best comparison was like it was a really big important school carnival, because the only people in the crowd were my teammates from the team. So, and everyone made a very conscious effort to stick around and make sure they watch everyone. So yeah, GPS was exactly like the Olympics for me.
And Will, your senior year was famous for a rebuild after a couple of lean years and finishing in 9th place in 2016. The 2017 team launched into 5th place. In your mind, what was special about that team?
Really just knowing that Nudgie had heaps of potential on the way. Having Prouty come in and join the coaching staff, he made phenomenal changes to the squad. Everyone wanted to be there and wanted to do well at GPS, and especially all the boys in my grade. We witnessed coming second in 2013, and we just really wanted to rebuild Nudgie and get Nudgie back up into first place to make the reign even better.
Jack, if we look at your final year at GPS, you were second in the Open 400 to TSS swimmer Mincham, and then you reversed that ledger, getting the win in the Open 200. The times were solid, but probably not amazing. Would it be fair to suggest that not many thought that you might go on and represent Australia at 2 Olympic Games?
Yeah, there's definitely a fair comparison there, but you say not the best, I would say absolutely terrible. I'm always the biggest critic on myself, and if anyone knows me in my swimming career, they know that I'm not the best racer when it comes to what we call in-season. So we call a thing called taper between big meets. So I kind of race well two times a year, would be at our trials and at the benchmark meets, so like Olympics or Com Games or Worlds. And if you see me, I'm a pretty hairy bloke. Normally have a really thick beard and hair everywhere. And for swimming, it's really slow. So most of the time, I'm just slugging through the water, just being, just struggling really in season. Always never winning in season. And yeah, when I shave down taper, that's when the big drops come. So I think that year I was a 408 in the 400 free and a 157 in the 200 free. And then I think 4 weeks later at the Australian Nationals, I dropped to a 357 or something in the 400 free. And yeah, it's that build up of taper and stuff that I really need. But yeah, definitely a fair comparison to say not many people thought I'd be going to Olympics. I kind of always just put that down to hard, and then I hate not doing well in something. So if I want to do something, I'll do it 110%, and yeah, I'll stop at nothing to get there.
GPS is obviously a breeding ground for many sports, but I'm not sure if you realise, but you're now in the company of names like Fasala, Brooks, Sieben, Armstrong, Perkins, Bowden, Springer, Rickard, and many, many more as a GPS old boy to have won Olympic medals. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's pretty unreal. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I definitely still don't consider myself in their elite criteria, but I think the GPS is something that is just so special for Brisbane. If you look back at all the GPS records and the winners, you're going to see so many names out there who went on to do great things, not only in swimming, but in so many other sports as well. I see a lot of the track and field guys at the QAS gym, and so many of them I recognise from Nudgy days, or they're, especially the rowing team and the athletics team, they're all walking around in their Nudgy senior shorts, and it's a special thing to just be like, oh yeah, we went to the same school. And it's cool when you're overseas and you're talking to another Australian athlete and they're like, oh yeah, I went to Grammar or Terrace. And yeah, it's cool just to know that GPS is probably the breeding ground for that. So yeah.
Will, I think this is probably a good time to introduce your disability. Can you share what happened to you as a young lad?
Yeah, so when I was young, 6 years old, so I would have been grade 2, I had a ruptured cerebral aneurysm. It was cleared up within 10 days and I was all good out of hospital. Then 2 months later, it re-ruptured and I had a stroke, and that caused me to have to learn how to walk and talk again. So now I've got a tremor in my right arm, a little bit of blindness in my right eye, and my whole right side is weaker than my left side. But just with the help of swimming, I got straight into it after I had this after I had the stroke, straight into swimming, and all the rehabilitation staff, all of their help. If it wasn't for them, I definitely wouldn't have been where I'm at today. So I appreciate them so much.
Now, you made the GPS team on each of your 5 years at Nudgy as a relay swimmer, on many occasions coming close but never quite securing an individual swim. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, and if you've got any advice for those in the room and back in PCs about setbacks and dealing with some disappointments when you're chasing such an important goal.
Yeah, so I was swimming in the relay every year. I kind of knew each year that I probably wasn't going to be in an individual event, but it's those setbacks that make you really want to push on and train to the best of your ability. Because I knew that I would make a relay every year, there was still that little bit inside of me that said, if you train hard, you have the chance to have an individual swim, and that was what I did every year, and I feel as though that hard training really led towards how I did in the relay. And as everyone knows, a relay is part of a team, and when you're on a team, you really don't want to let the team down. You want to do the best that you can do, and all that hard training eventually paid off, and it helped us with doing well in the relays. I remember we won the relay in grade 8. Our win was actually the first relay, the first win of the night, and I was the last swimmer, so it felt pretty good to touch the wall and see that I was in first place, and watch some other schools like Ipswich and Terrace still swimming up to the other end while we'd already finished.
If we fast forward to 2020, Nudgee College wins the GPS swimming, and then the world goes into a global pandemic. For two swimmers with their heart sets on one thing, this is an interesting period to navigate. So Jack, by now you're an international campaigner, having been to the Rio Olympics, 2 world champs, gold and silver medalists at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. How did you manage the uncertainty of not quite knowing whether it was actually going to happen or whether it may be delayed?
So at the start, I was killing myself in the water. At the time, I was training 11 times a week, just swim sessions, about 2.5 hours each, with 3 gym, physio, massage on top of that, Pilates, cycling. And honestly, I was smashed. So when they said, oh, we're just going to have a little bit of a break at the moment to see what's happening, I was actually really happy because I just needed a break, and I just needed to sit down and do nothing for a week and just kind of rehabilitate. So, and then it kind of kicked me because I was a bit older now, and I had a lot of young kids coming up as well. And in the 400 free in Australia, we have 4 guys who are top 8 in the world, and only 2 of you get to go. So it was a very, very tough field, and so it was pretty stressful to have another year because 12 months is huge in sport. Anything can happen. So it kind of hit me pretty hard at the end of the year when I started getting back in the water, started to try and train harder and trying to improve. And it really hit me hard where I kind of went into a bit of a downward spiral of mental health because of, I was like, oh, like, do I still have it? Like, I thought I was in my peak. 2 years later, am I going to still be in my peak? So I was really worried, but getting with my friends and family, with my coach, everyone around me, really helped me get through that period where I got back to where I was, and I actually performed even better than 2019. So for me, I just, really had to concentrate on why I was doing it and to really focus on trying to just improve myself and not having to worry about others.
Yeah, good. And Will, obviously very different for you. This Tokyo was an opportunity for you to make your first Paralympic team. How did you cope with that?
Yeah, so last year, when COVID hit, I was unfortunately training at the terrace pool.
Jeez, he doesn't like terrace much.
Yeah, and I kind of didn't have high ambitions last year. I was just kind of going to training, getting out of the pool, going home. Didn't really recover too well. I would have a zinger box for some of my meals. And David gave me, I would say, a bit of a lifeline to swim at Nudgee. So I started swimming here and refound my love for the sport and realised sort of at the start of the year that I had the potential to make the team, and being selected on that team, I was a bit shocked at first, but then when I went over to Tokyo and swimming in that competition, it felt as though all of the training which I'd done with David had really paid off, and I guess it kind of shows in the results as well.
Now, I might just get you to have a quick look at the screen now. Representing Australia on the world's biggest stage, Talk us through the emotions in a word or two that must be flowing here.
It's funny. When you do something so many times, you kind of just get used to it. I wasn't actually nervous at all. I kind of had prepared myself to be ready. So when I was walking out, I kind of knew what I needed to do. I knew what I wanted to do in the race. I had a very strategic plan, so I knew how to execute it. And like I said, when you do something so many times, you probably are nervous, but you're just used to it, so you don't really feel it. I play a bit of golf, and I'm doing a bit of corporate days, pro-ams and stuff, and I tell you what, standing on the first tee, I am 20 times more nervous there than I would be behind the blocks in an Olympic final. But yeah, so when I'm walking out, just kind of focus on my lane, focus on what I'm doing, what I need to do, and yeah, just head down at the moment.
Will, for you?
Yeah, so when I was at that point, I was kind of thinking, oh, I can't wait till this is over and done with. But yeah, I knew that I had a job to do, and I had to get in and get that job done. The first lap, I had my main competition, an Italian bloke. He was to the left of me, so that was the side that I could see him on, and I knew as I was looking up to take breaths, I'd see him beside me, a little bit behind, and I'd just kind of think, oh yeah, he's doing pretty good, he's doing well. And then I did the turn, and because it switches around on the way back, he was on the right side of me, so I couldn't see where he was. So I just I had to stick to my race plan and know that, have faith in my race plan, and that I was going to do well in that race. And I suppose I did do well, if you could say that.
Jack, you qualify for the 4, 8 and 1500 free. We want to focus on the 400 free. You qualify 5th into the final with a solid time of 3 minutes 45. How did you feel in the heat, and were you comfortable with where you were at and where you were placed for the final?
Yeah, so in my heat, I kind of went in for to try and just make it through as easy as possible. The 400 free is pretty rough, having to do a heat and final, and when you get to Olympic level, it's such a tight field. There'd be 16, 20 guys who are within a second of each other, so if you take it too easy, you can easily miss out. But I actually tied with my mate Elijah Winnington, who was the other Australian, so he was on lane 6, I got lane 2 in the final, and that's honestly where I wanted to be. I wanted to be on the outside because, like I said, I knew how every single one of those guys swam, and they all like to just cruise through the first 200 and then try to build through their last 50. It's kind of game on. So when I went in, I was going to, my plan was to take it out and just kind of throw them off the ball because it's Olympic final, things happen, and when someone's so far ahead, they panic. Things go out the window, thoughts go out the window. So I wanted to throw a little curveball in there, rough them up a bit, get them a bit out of their game. And so I did that. I almost pulled it off to a tee, but as you can see, I wear glasses. So the last 50, I was in lane 2, and the guy who won was in lane 8. So I couldn't see, but I was giving it my absolute all. So I don't think anything would have happened. But yeah, it's one of those things that I think I had the best lane for me, what I need to do. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Now, we've just got a photo of the last 25 there for you. My question was going to be, did you realise the Tunisian was up level? Can you talk us through that last 25? Obviously, if you're not looking around much, you're just focusing on getting that last job done.
Yeah, so around the last 25, I think my head was kind of going down a bit, and just I don't think the words and thoughts that were going through my head at the time are appropriate for the setting. They'll probably make some great TV if you could read my thoughts, but yeah, I was just trying to put my head down and get to the wall as quickly as possible. I could see splashing on the other side, so I knew they were coming. The guy next to me in lane 3, he's renowned for a huge last 50. The guys in 4 and 5 also had really big last hundreds, but I knew they probably wouldn't be up there because they put all their eggs into their heat and really put everything there. So I knew my competition would be on the outside lanes. So I saw a lot of splashing, but I couldn't really see who and exactly where they are. It's always really hard to pick in swimming. So yeah, the last 10 metres, put my head down, try to get on the wall as quickly as possible.
Now, will you qualify for the S9 400 free, 50 free, 100 fly, the 4x1 free relay and the 4x1 medley relay? Across a 10-day program, significant amount of events. You begin with a gold medal and Paralympic record in a 400 free event, which was almost an afterthought with a late qualification. Swimming an incredible 7-second PB in the final. Do you think that helped set up the week? You know, did that help you relax, or did that add to the pressure for some of your main events?
Yeah, I feel as though that helped me with setting up for the week. I went into that race with no intention of even swimming the final. I was just going to use that race to see how the water was, test the water, see how the competition were, and just get the cobwebs out of the system before my main section of the meet. And coming off with the final swim, I wasn't too happy when I saw that I had to do it all again, because 400 is a long way. Sorry, Jack. But I knew having that final swim would allow me to feel the kind of atmosphere that was around during the final, and it would set me up for the rest of the week as well. So coming off with the gold medal, I wasn't too perturbed by it. Everyone else said, "Oh, you're not real hyped. Why is that? You just won a gold medal." And I just went, "Oh well, I've still got 9 days left of racing. The meet's just begun, and there's so much more left in the tank for me to do, and I've got so many more events to race, and so much more potential for this meet." And I was just happy that I could use that 400 to practice everything really, even the walking out to get the medal. That took a fair amount of effort, which I was pretty surprised by.
Now, and then we got to his final individual event, the 100 metres fly, as his favourite, and you touched the wall a body length clear and a new world record of 57.19, gold medalist and the whole country behind you. And in that photo, as you touched the wall there, this is obviously must have been an incredible moment. Can you put into a few words that feeling?
I can't really. I didn't really know what I was feeling at that point in time. When I saw the time, I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't quite that 56, but I'll take a 57. And yeah, it was a little bit of excitement knowing that my individual competition had come to an end, and that I had a fun relay swim to do the next day. So I was getting real prepared for that and getting ready to get up and swim again.
Now, I hope all the boys in the room and watching back in the classrooms have felt a sense that nothing's come easy to either of you. It's clear to me that the qualities of resilience, grit, and this intrinsic drive to be the best you can be are strong in your psyche. To finish, I just thought we might touch on your family. And knowing both your families were extremely supportive of Nudgy and your journey. I'm very involved in the school, in the house system, very involved in the swimming club while you were both here. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with family and just that, if we can finish with the support that they've provided you as you've gone through your careers?
Yeah, so my family was just my biggest support crew throughout my entire career. They've always been there and always supported me for whatever reason that I wanted to. And like my best comparison of, swimming in general is, I don't know if any of you boys are watching the F1 documentary on Netflix, but the big pit crew behind the drivers. The drivers are what you call, the stars of the show, and you might think they do everything, but the Netflix documentary really shows how many people are around them doing, all the engineers, the pit crew and everything. And my family is like the pit crew. They're always there to support me, always there to really encourage me, and without them I wouldn't be where I am today. And my mum has always really supported me in, and I know this sounds really silly, but like what I like to call like the triangle of a successful, career of you have your sporting career, for me, swimming, you have your friends and your family, so the social, and then you have your academics. And I've been fortunate enough to, have all three of my engineering, the social life, and my sporting career. And I know you boys are probably sitting here being like, man, I don't care about swimming. I don't like swimming at all. And that's cool. Like that, I would probably be the same if I wasn't a swimmer. But what I would encourage you boys to do is, really have that passion, because that passion will encourage all parts of your life. Of, if you love rugby, if you love music, follow that, because then if you're doing that, you won't work a day in your life, and that will really support that whole triangle. So I encourage you to not, if you're really into academics, make sure you're still doing sport and to socialise. Or if you're really into sport, don't throw out your academics or your social life. All three are so important. So finding a balance in there is what my family has really pushed into me and has really helped me along the way.
Will, for you?
Yeah, so for me, my family is everything to me. Mum and Dad have always supported me from day dot. Mum sat beside me in the hospital bed for the full 14 weeks and didn't leave my side. And she's pretty much just sat beside me the entire swimming journey as well. There'll be days where I'm ready to throw the towel. I've had enough of swimming. Just want to call quits. But then Mum will say, Mum will calm me down, and she'll say, "Oh well, think of it this way. Do this, blah blah blah," and those kind of words that she would say really helped me out with getting me through the tough days and finding that will to keep on swimming. And having Dad there as well, he really helps me out with those sorts of things. Just saying that it's only a small portion of your life. So I thought when I was 18 that your life is set. You're an adult and that life just goes by like that. But then Dad was telling me that once you get to 30 and you don't do the things that you want to do when you're young, you might regret it. So if that's a message to the boys, make sure that you really get involved in the school, in your academics, in your music life, because life does go by like that sometimes, but when you're young it doesn't, and you just got to make the most of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, two outstanding young men and very proud Nudgee College Old Boys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you back at the college this morning. We wish you all the best for your future. Please join me in thanking Jack McLaughlin and William Martin. Just might know Jack and Will be out the front for a few minutes for anyone who would like a photo and have a quick look at the medals.
I'd like to invite Mr. Fulliger and Mr. Stewart up to the stage. Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, parents, colleagues, students, and our online audience. Each year we enter students' work into the Australian Society of Music Education, or ASME, Queensland Young Composers Competition. This annual competition provides the opportunity for young composers from across the state to submit their own works for critique and assessment by adjudicators who work as professional composers in Australia and vie for prizes. This is an opportunity for our boys to utilise the compositions that they create for assessment in curriculum music and receive feedback from industry professionals. Previous entrants and winners of the Young Composers Competition have gone on to study composition at a tertiary level or work in the music industry as professional composers. We had an absolutely fantastic turnout this year, taking out 3 podium positions in the 2 categories that we entered, songwriting and electronic music. I would like to congratulate the following boys. In the songwriting category, Matthew Johns, who was awarded 2nd place. In the electronic music category, we had Luke Barber, who was awarded second place. And Morgan Chippendale, who was awarded third place. Let's congratulate these boys for their amazing work. Could we now give a warm welcome to Rock Band 2?
Thank you, Rock Band 2. Good morning, Mr. Fulliger, parents, staff and students. Last term, 6 of our music ensembles competed in the Queensland Catholic Schools and Colleges Music Festival. Due to COVID-19, the festival was modified to be an online celebration of music in Catholic schools in Queensland. Strict rules and regulations were put into place, and all schools were required to record and upload footage into the festival. With thanks to Raul Carmody and the AV crew, we just managed to film all ensembles in week 3 last term, right before we went into an 8-day lockdown. The festival was streamed via YouTube last term, so every ensemble and every school could see each other perform. Having competed in online competitions myself, I can tell you from first-hand experience, it's very hard to communicate the small nuances of the piece in a video recording. This makes me even more proud of our ensembles and their achievements in the festival this year. I'd like to thank our ensemble directors, Mr. John Hodder, Mr. Richard Dupuy, Mr. Walter Staff, and Mr. Daniel Avery for your passion and dedication to see the boys flourish. Each director has nominated a member of the ensemble to receive certificates today on behalf of the group. I'd now like to invite Mr. Fulliger and Mr. Stewart to the stage to present the certificates to the nominated representatives. Our stage band, under the direction of Mr. John Hodder, received a Gold Award, which is the highest ranked result in the festival. This is the first time stage band has received a Gold Award, and it's an excellent outcome. Representing stage band today is grade 12 student Simon Bollett. Rock Band 2, under the direction of Mr. Walter Staff, who you just saw perform, also received a Gold Award. Representing Rock Band 2 today is grade 12 student Connor McCann. Guitar Ensemble, under the direction of Mr. Walter Staff, received a Silver Award. Representing Guitar Ensemble today is grade 12 student Zachary Manita. Rock Band 1, under the direction of Mr. Richard Dupuy, received a Silver Award. Representing Rock Band 1 today is grade 12 student Fletcher Dunn. Treble Makers, our junior school choir, under the direction of myself, received a Silver Award. I'm especially proud of this group as they are a new ensemble at Nudgee, and they had extremely positive adjudication, commenting on their potential as an outstanding vocal group. Representing Treble Makers today is grade 6 student Tobias Grant. The concert band, under the direction of Mr. Daniel Elvery, received a Bronze Award. Representing the concert band today is grade 8 student Matthew Heath. Finally, I would like to invite our 2021 Vice Captain of the Arts, Morgan Chippendale, to the stage to present Mr. Fulliger with the 2021 QCMF Shield. Let's congratulate these boys. Thank you, Mr. Fulliger, students, and Mr. Stewart. Whilst on stage, I wanted to remind you about our upcoming NC Creatives at Twilight concert on Saturday afternoon from 3 to 8 o'clock. It's shaping up to be a great evening, and I'd encourage everyone to attend to support the boys presenting work at the event. Please register via the QR codes that are on the posters around the school. Thank you.
Mr. Fulliger, special guests, parents, students and staff, and especially Mr. Todd. Peter, Mr. Toddy, look, I know I'm telling you something you already know, and I don't want to patronise you, but team, today I'll be sharing a prayer reflection I said yesterday at our House Deans meeting. As Paddington Bear said, always things are happening to me. I'm that sort of bear. Something big is happening to Toddy. He's now leaving after 26 years at Nudgee. Mr. Todd from the far-off north town of Innisfail started in 1995 as an English teacher. Then a succession of leadership roles followed. Year 8 coordinator, director of activities, replacing the role of sportsmaster, director of middle school students, director of students, Dean of Students since 2006. He's also been a passionate and very successful cricket and rugby coach. And in all these roles, he has done them terrifically well. And aren't we blessed? Toddy is a big personality and a big contributor to the school. Quite a journey over all these years, and he will be missed as a valued and respected staff member, colleague and friend. So when thinking yesterday of saying a prayer at our weekly House Deans meeting, I went straight to Google and looked up St. Peter, knowing that Toddy's faith is very important to him, being raised in a large, strong Catholic family. Britannia had a wealth of information about St. Peter the Apostle. So after a quick scan, I cut and paste some attributes that may or may not run parallel to our own St. Peter. I'll let you be the judge. But in saying that, just listen carefully to the last line, because that simply sums up the true testament of Peter's time at Nudgee. So Britannia says, St. Peter the Apostle, original name Simon or Simeon, was a disciple of Jesus Christ, recognised in the early Christian church as a leader of the 12 disciples. And with the Roman Catholic Church's first of an unbroken succession of popes, Peter was a Jewish fisherman. He was also a disciple of Jesus. He received from Jesus the name Cephas, rock. Peter could be resolute, but occasionally he depicted as a rash and hasty, or irritable and capable of great anger. But often he is pictured as gentle but firm, and his professions of love to Jesus capable of great loyalty and love. Peter apparently learned slowly and erred time and time again, but later when trusted with responsibility, he demonstrated that he was mature and capable. When differing degrees of emphasis, the Synoptic Gospels agree that Peter served as a spokesman, the outstanding member of the group, and enjoyed a certain precedence over all the other disciples. Peter, who manifested the momentary weakness of even the strongest when he denied his Lord. Later, however, with great maturity, he discovered strength and was charged by Jesus, affecting the strength of others. Peter, who survived his denial, is permitted to be the first of the apostles to see Jesus after the resurrection. And finally, Peter is emphasised in John and charged by Jesus to tend my sheep and feed my lambs. I'll read it again. Peter is emphasised in John and charged by Jesus to tend my sheep and feed my lambs. Peter, may you continue to live Jesus and Nudgee in your heart forever. Thank you.
As Year 12 learns to become accustomed in being farewelled, Basil and I have the challenging job to farewell someone who's been very important to our senior story. I've been at Nudgee for 7 years and have seen Nudgee take many shapes and forms. But this is such a small time span compared to the man who has influenced the college for a generation. For 26 years, the Nudgee community has been blessed with Mr. Peter Todd as a member of the staff. While it may not necessarily be the end of his time at Nudgee, we felt it was important that the senior class farewells Mr. Todd before he takes his leave of absence and we move towards our graduation. As such a high-ranking CLT member, it has always been reassuring to see this Nudgee legend around the campus, at weekend sport, and on the odd occasion outside of school. To be honest, it would be really hard to find a Nudgee boy or family that doesn't have something to thank Mr. Todd for. As a college community, we owe a great deal of gratitude for his service to Nudgee. Most of the boys in this room will know Mr. Todd as the Dean of Students, but as one of the longest serving staff members, it is fair to say that he has seen a massive variety of Nudgee culture, has his fair share of classic stories to tell about this place, and has held a number of positions at the college. Beginning as a humble English and religion teacher in 1995, Mr. Todd's only objective at Nudgee has been to help the boys in his care achieve their very best. This mindset was carried out in his time spent as the college sports master, the director of the middle school, and the director of students. But no matter his role, everyone has admired and respected Mr. Todd for his commitment to the Nudgee ethos, Signum Fidei. His honesty, his integrity, and his thoughtfulness have been an excellent example to the young men of Nudgee of what it truly means to be a sign of faith. For that reason, Mr. Todd, you will always have a place with the class of 2021.
It is said that Nudgee prepares every single young man for life outside the gates and provides each and every person within the community the opportunity to grow and nurture ambition. This is something that is not only limited to the students, but the members of the staff. However, much like a cohort leaving, there's a sense of sadness and apprehension that follows a feeling of pride and joy. Mr. Todd's impact on our college cannot really be encompassed, simply because I'll be selling short the hard work and dedication of over 26 years of work. Your impact on each and every boy, past and present, will no doubt be felt throughout the many generations to come, Mr. Todd. I think it would be also fair to say that you have impacted not only the men of Nudgee, but also your colleagues and the wider Nudgee community as a great mentor, friend, and ally. So on behalf of the men of Nudgee, thank you, sir, and all the very best for what your future holds. May it be one of great success. Thank you.
Can I please invite you forward, Mr. Todd?
All right, gentlemen, a very long assembly today, and we're very nearly right there at morning tea. So we're calling on Lockie Nolan for 3 cheers. Thank you, everyone. Now, with apologies to our friends from Mary MacKillop for taking up the hall for longer than we expected, can we please make our way to morning tea as quickly as possible? Please stay tuned for announcements as to what the structure of the rest of the day will look like.